in the 90s. Tell us about your career so that we understand that, and then we'll get into the challenges of female athletes. And of course, Joyce, being in the fray right now, will tell us what is being done to improve things. But tell us about your career.
Oh, my career, Caro, as you know very well, I come from West Pokot, whereby it was difficult for a girl to do sports. I was only lucky when I joined the Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology. And then after that, I was employed by these people. That's
Athletics Kenya.
No, post office.
Oh.
Where Joyce Odhiambo was one of the best. So I used to hear about Joyce Odhiambo, but for her, she was 100 meters. But for me, I was a long distance runner. And then I was saying, what? I just want to be like them. Not knowing that being like them, I was going to run longer distances. And my employer was able to give me those opportunity to train. But for sure, to talk about our women going outside, my first time I went to Japan, but we were very few. I think we were like four girls. And of course, we had more male athletes. And then the following year, when we went for Olympic, my first Olympic in Barcelona, I think we were 6 out of I don't know how many men. And I realized, listen, we could have got many medals, but we are few. And nobody could think of women from Kenya. As more as I stayed in Europe, they start to talk bad about African women. I say, oh, these African women, they cannot make it even marathon. Do you know why I start to run marathon? I say, I want to make sure that even these European people see that there is women from Africa. I'm not now from Kenya, but I say African woman can run better than them. And that's...
So you made the decision to run the marathon. I want you to boast, Tekla.
Yes.
I want you to boast.
So that's something that I want to tell also our people, that when we run, we have pride of our nation, and we have pride of Africa. So, Caro, I was only thinking of Pokot first, because I was discouraged very many times by our federation, because they used to say, this one, she's too tiny, she cannot make it. And she comes from a conflict area, so she's not going anywhere. You go home crying. But this one moment, when I came to Germany, I think I broke many records. And then I realized I am not just little Pokot, but I am a Kenyan. I represent other women from Kenya.
And then you were the first African woman to win the New York Marathon.
And you
first African woman to hold the world record for marathon. You held records for 25 kilometers, 30
kilometers, 1 hour.
And you take like, you decided, I'm going to break every record.
Now, you know what I was saying? I want to break any record that comes in front of me. And
this small girl from Pokot.
This small girl from Pokot. Sometimes when they call you, she's from a warring community, it hurts you. You are taking the flag of the country, but they subject you to your community. Caro, that's why when I was in Europe, my mind was in Pokot. What am I going to do for our people? Not only Pokot, my neighbors within the Turkana and the Marquette. There were many people who wanted me to stay in Europe to give me money. And then I said, no, money is not everything. But I want to show my Kenya people that there are people from Pokot, at least there is one woman who can come from that area to be a good person, to take out the bad image. But nobody, after today, nobody has understood the mind of a Pokot person. We are straight people. But we do not know how to cry when something comes. We wait, and when we retaliate, we do more than tsunami.
Wow, that's an amazing career. You didn't even get to London, Berlin, Rome, all these other marathons that you want. I want to talk very quickly to Joyce, because Joyce, you ran 100 meters, and many Kenyans don't think of ourselves as 100-meter runners, especially women. Tell us about your career very briefly.
Okay, my career started in 1982 when I was just newly employed by Kenya Post and Telecommunications. Okay, and going by our physique, we know that people from Nyanza are sprinters. It's hard, even now we don't have anybody from Nyanza, maybe 1 or 2 right now coming up. So we are naturally sprinters. So when I was employed, and our employer was very kind, he used to give us time off to train. So I trained very hard. I managed to go to the Commonwealth Games then when I was still new in 1982. Then proceeded. Then to 1988, I went to the Olympic Games. You see, for you to go to the Olympic Games, you have to attain a qualifying mark. So I hit the qualifying mark. And earlier in 1987, my father, who was also a coach with us in the Kenya team, we lost him in an accident together with my auntie. And prior to that, I had sustained an injury during the All Africa Games that were held here in Nairobi. So I was determined to not to let my father down by training hard in 1988 to make it to the Olympic Games. And I think we were only 3 or 4 ladies who went to the Olympics. Like Tekla said, ladies were given a very small number during that time. So we were with Rose Tata, and we had Francisca Chepkirui, who was also doing the 800 meters, and Pascaline Wangoi, who was doing the marathon during that time. She was the second lady to run the marathon before Tekla came in. So I managed to set a Kenya record during that time, which was just broken the other day, and I'm very proud of that because at least my name was somewhere, even though
but you held it for more than 20 years.
Yes, for more than 20 years. Yes, almost for 20 years, and I'm very proud of that, despite the fact that, okay, we Kenyans, we cannot maybe match the Americans and the Jamaicans. Of course, we know that sprint events are very technical events, and the Americans and the Europeans, they normally nurture this talent from a very early age. But for us, we start running at 18, 19 years. These things you need to start very early so that at least you're somewhere. But I thank God that I was able to go and compete, even though I did not proceed far, but at least I was able to know the type of competition that was there. And then maybe why we did not maybe proceed far, because we were not getting enough of exposure during that time. We women athletes, many a time they were saying, no, women are not very good and all that. So we were not getting exposure at that level. But I thank God that nowadays at least we are seeing a lot of exposure, and we find that there are equal number of women athletes together with the men athletes. But long time ago, like I told you, in 1988, we were only 4 ladies in the athletics team.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're 4. You said you were how many? You were 6, and that was almost 10 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now roughly how many women participate in the Olympics?
In fact, we have an equal number of women athletes to the men, because, and not only that, we find that our women athletes are doing better than the men. You can look at the past. We see that during Vivian Cheruiyot's time, she used to bring us medals in the 10,000 meters, in the 5,000 meters, and Obiri is doing the same. And our men athletes are nowadays being challenged by the Ugandans. They're being challenged by even the Europeans. But our women athletes now, they are on top of the world, because in marathon, Kenyan women are at the top right now. I think the top 20, we have maybe 15 or 2, or all the 20 are Kenyans, apart from 1 or 2 Ethiopians who are trying to come in. But Kenyan women, we are at the top right now.
We're at the top right now. I actually want us to go into our first break. When we come back after the break, Tekla, there's a story you told me once, which I want to remind you of during the break, so that you tell it to us after this, about some of the challenges you went through. And then I would like Joyce to say what they're doing specifically, because I think in your time there were no female coaches. So you didn't have certain luxuries that they have now. So let's take our first break. When we come back, let's continue to tackle what were the challenges for women, how are they being tackled, and what more can still be done, so that we see more women and, of course, more Kenyans participating in some of the shorter races. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you after the break.
Hi guys, this is Arnold Origi, here just to try and encourage you guys during these difficult times that the world is facing. Just want to encourage you guys by urging you to keep on keeping a positive mindset, by just trying to find something that you can be genuinely grateful for each and every day. For me, that has worked magic. That one little thing that I look forward to each and every day It's what has kept me going through every second, through every minute, through every hour, every day and week of this trying times, guys. Like today, just having the health of coming to the gym, even though our season has been halted by the COVID-19, just like any other leagues, coming in the gym, keeping fit, break a sweat, have a good workout is something that I'm extremely grateful for. So guys, just find something you can be grateful for. It will help you. It's really important. And as you do that, remember to keep on keeping safe, take care of yourselves, take care of your loved ones, your neighbors, your countrymen. If you can, share the needs that you have with the less fortunate, those who have nothing at all. And also remember, for all your sports entertainment and updates, stay tuned here on Radull Live. And hopefully, guys, I hope to see you soon. Ciao, and God bless.
Welcome back. Remember, you can comment in the comment section and I'll read out some of your comments throughout the show. There's also a number we're putting on the screen where you can call us if you want to ask Tekla or Joyce any question. There's a comment here from Anima Ferrari Min Bentley. She says, Kenyan athletics women are on top. This is great to hear. And then she says, Obiri. And Obiri has done us so proud. Then Judy Masharia says, we celebrate Tekla for her strides on the track and in the society. We'd love to hear more about her projects outside the track and her refugee athletes project. And we will get to that before the show ends because Tekla does so much. But before the break, I said we're going to ask Tekla about some of the challenges she went through as a female athlete. This is a story I've heard before, but because she's such a lovely storyteller, I'd like to hear it again. We're laughing, but it's a bit tragic. Tekla, what are some of the challenges you went through?
Many challenges. One thing, as I was telling you, that from the community where I came from, they were protecting their girls. So it was another obstacle. And then I was thinking now, after coming from there, I'm away from the disagreement with my father, with the community, say, okay, our girls cannot perform. So here are our federations. I did not have a coach. My legs were my coach. I had only a coach called Fatwell Kimayo, but it belonged to technology. But when we came for the national events that we were going out, so they used to select us and put us in the training camp. For cross country, of course, they used to take me to Embu. The last day, they say Tekla is not going because she is sick or she's well. They give you all the names. You go home crying. But at one point, when we were going to Stuttgart, I was one of the best in 10,000 in the whole world. So Farsosa was number 2. So I was dropped out of the team to go to Stuttgart. The company who supported me, Nike, and they said, no way. Tekla should not stay home. She has to go. And I was paid by Nike to go to Stuttgart. So when we came to Stuttgart, nobody wanted to come closer to me. Within the federation, the big people, apart from okay used to come and talk to me, but he doesn't stay with us. And all
so they were treating you like an outcast.
I was completely outcast. So when they were giving the rooms, of course they were giving 2. And then I did not have a room. So finally they gave me a kitchen. So they put
kitchen
from those apartments.
And you're on national duty?
I was on national duties.
Oh my.
So somebody who felt so bad was Miranda and Andrew Masai and William Stuart. So they used to come to my room, say, Tekla, are you feeling okay? For me, I say, you know what? This doesn't kill me. I'm already here. But I will try my best because I come from the community that people doesn't like. But I'm proud because I'm taking the flag of the country like any other person. So the doctors, they used to come and help others. People, they talk to them, and Paul in Congo used to talk to me because I was in technology together. So can you imagine, you are one of the athletes, what kind of depression you have? But I took it positive. I didn't take it negative. I say, okay, You protect the other people and you put me in the kitchen. Really?
Why?
So, but what I like of what I'm hearing is that you used, there's nothing like somebody telling you you can't, or you're not as good as the next person, because that, if you're a strong person, and
Yes.
Tekla, you're such a strong person, it spurs you on to do even better,
Yeah, and then another thing that helped me, that I'm a Christian, and there was a time was, you know what, the Bible said, if people put you down, your Father will put you up. So I was telling myself at one point, despite the fact all these challenges, Kenya Federation will see me somewhere at one time, of which, when we finished running 10,000, Persosa was disqualified. And I was supposed to come to number 3. But our own government, our own federation went to protest and pay the money. And they say, because they are all Kenyans, let Persosa stay. If I was from another country, I was entitled to be number 3 for the bronze. But I was not. I was removed because I was nobody. And then I think I went to ask the late Black, what happened? I thought Persosa did this and it was shown. But somebody told me, okay, from IWF, they paid because you are just Kenyans. How? I kept quiet, and then they came home, and then I went to Germany. So I said there is half marathon. I was the first Kenyan to run the World Championship half marathon. There was no men. There was no end apart from men. So it was in Belgium. By then, you could register individual. So I went to Belgium.
as an individual.
As individual, I told my manager, I want to run this half marathon. And then he told me, Tekla, will you make it? I said, I will make it. Let me go. So the day before the race, they say, oh, but she's individual. Chuck Chirac, the former president of IOC, by then he was national Olympic president in Belgium. So he knew all the challenges that I was facing. And then Primo Nebbiolo from IWF. By then, I was not close to these people, but they say, we want that girl to run. We know her challenge. Let her run.
Yes.
So I ran against Russians, against Romanians. They didn't like me at all. They was just pushing me. So I was number 2. Until the last 50 meters, I was pushed. I fell down again. So finally, I came number 3. So I became the first Kenyan to bring the bronze medal in the same year, 93.
After they didn't want you to
After they
run.
did not want me to run in
Now they knew who Tekla Lorupe was.
Yes.
But of course, these are some challenges that, Joyce, you're a national team coach now with Athletics Kenya. Some of these challenges that Tekla went through, like sleeping in the kitchen, surely, because you're the only woman in the team. Such things have improved, I imagine.
Oh, yes. Things have really, really improved in the recent past. And in fact, like I said before, that we can see that the lady athletes, the women athletes are doing far, far much better than our men athletes. Because like I said, in marathon, the Kenyan ladies are the tops right now as we are talking. Maybe the top 10 are Kenyan women. In the 5,000 meters, we are tops. In 10,000 meters, we are tops. So we have equal opportunities nowadays. During that time, like Tekla is saying, you see, she was just one among many others, and they didn't know how she could run. So she was just being pushed aside. So from that time, that was a major step for us. What Tekla did opened the eyes of everybody. Those people who had been demonizing women and saying, no, women can't and women can't. She proved a point to them, and they said, yes, we can. Yes, we can. And from then on, I think many others took up running. The Ethiopians came up, and all these other countries. Even now, we can see Uganda is coming up very strongly. And during the past, many parents did, like she was saying, many parents did not want their daughters to get into athletics. And they were saying, no, you cannot run. And maybe even those tribes out there, they were saying, it's better off when we marry off. We are going to get cattle. But nowadays, girls are an investment, and everybody wants their daughter to be an athlete. And it has been proved. And I can prove right now that in any race that we are hosting, whether they are trials or anything, we find that there's an equal number of athletes equal to the men, be it 100 meters. When you look at the heats, we find that if there are 100 men, we have 100 women. If it is the marathon, we can't even count. Nowadays, even if we have to, even if we had major championships, we are spoiled for choice. There are so many ladies around. Even if we don't take the top 3, we take the top 10, the other 9, 10, 11, we know that we'll still get a medal.
There's one challenge that I'd spoken to, I think she was a legal advisor to National Olympic Committee a couple of years ago.
Yes.
And she was saying a long time ago when there were no female coaches in the fray, one of the challenges women used to go through are transitions in their body. And if all your coaches are male, they don't understand certain times of the month. They don't understand why you can't perform. Did you experience any of that, Tekla? And then you can tell us what happened since.
Well, for sure, when we have some kids anyway, but we are still shy.
Yes.
But when you don't have chaperone to go and tell your problem,
Yeah.
and then you just train when you are sick, and then they say, what's wrong with this one, But they don't understand because of that shyness. But of course, when I went to Europe, I was able to trust my coach, and my coach is a man, because he understands the issue of female.
But it's still really important,
It's
Joyce,
really important
to have
for-
female coaches training women.
Sure.
Yes, it is very, very important to have women coaches because we understand the problems that women go through. Yes, men, they are better trainers, but I think women are much better. They are more understanding because they have gone through these processes themselves. So when an athlete tells them, they are able to understand what you're going through. And what I know, many women were shying away from this job of coaching. You find that in the past, we only had male coaches until later on when we started training women coaches. And the first women coaches we had were Elizabeth Olaba and Sarah Atieno, who were trained in Germany in the 80s. Before that, there were no women coaches. Then later on, we had Herina Malit. But now in the recent past, women have now come to realize that they also have somewhere and they're also being appreciated. So they're taking up coaching duties and they're doing quite well. And then I know in the next 10 years, we're going to challenge the men. Even though, like in our in athletics Kenya, there's nowadays what they put that there has to be a lady coach. With every team that goes, there is a lady coach, and I really appreciate them for that. Because in the past, they didn't care that whether a lady coach was there or not. But now, at least ladies are know that there's that at least there's that chance that with every team going out, there is a lady coach. So at least they are also training hard to see that they are somewhere and they're able to challenge the men coaches.
Now, we're talking about team coaches now, and I want us to go into our next break. But when we come back, I also want to talk about personal coaches, because we don't see a lot of female personal coaches, which I can see Tekla smiling already. We don't see a lot of personal coaches for individual athletes, and I want us to go into that a bit. Also, the issue of because we've been seeing a lot of athletes going down, being accused of taking drugs and all that stuff. And people say, oh, these other coaches are just taking advantage of them and things like that. I want to get into that discussion after the break. But I want to read one comment here first from Coach Gakonga. He says, I really appreciate what these two great women have done for Kenya. We need to celebrate them more and more, we need to celebrate them more and work them, because they have a lot still to give the nation. I'm a football coach in London, and every single day I think of what I can do for my country's football. Soon I will let Kenyans know. Coach Gakonga, God bless Kenya. Hey, football is another discussion for another day. We can talk until the cows come home. But of course, he's saying we don't celebrate you enough, and I think we don't. So let's take our next break. When we come back, I want to discuss that issue of personal coaches and, of course, drugs and how that is affecting our sport. See you in a bit.
I'm Billy Odhiambo, Kenya 7's rugby player. I hope everyone is keeping safe and following the directives given to combat the spread of the coronavirus. And during this time, we need to keep active one way or the other. So with me, I'm not taking any chances by stepping out of the house. So I use the tricep dips to sweat a little bit and get some blood flowing. You're watching Radull live.
My name is Ronald Okoth from Sofapaka FC, also the founder of Arrow Sports, and you're watching Radull Live. Hashtag Radull Live.
Welcome back to Radull Live. Yes, I have Tekla Lorupe here, the first African woman to win the New York City Marathon, the first African woman to hold a world record in the marathon. Oh, goodness. I mean, athletics royalty. And then, of course, Joyce Odhiambo, she participated in the 1988 Olympics in 100 meters. How often do we hear Kenyan women in 100 meters? But before the break, we're talking generally about national team coaches. But when it comes to personal coaches, I could be wrong, but I don't know any of our single athletes who has a personal female coach. Do you know any? And maybe correct me if I'm wrong.
Really, I really don't know any athlete that has a female personal coach. Probably a coach, like I've seen our sister 1500 meters, Jebet. She is training a group of people, but I've not seen just training one person. I think, Garo, the challenges that we have, especially women, you have to understand also we have also domestic issues at home. And therefore, it's another different thing all along. And I would like to encourage also athletes, former athletes, to come up. Let's help our athletes. Let's be like other coaches outside there. Let's come and be personal trainers and also athletes. Let us not trust all the time people that come from outside. And we think that these people love us. You know what? What I just want to tell an athlete, that if you have your manager in Kenya, it's your leg that makes that race organizer in London or in America to ask you to run for his race or for a race. It's not a manager. And therefore, we need also, I want to ask also our federation also that to encourage more managers from Africa. We need, yesterday the president said, let's support our homegrown products, that including us as sports. Now, Joyce and Caro, every time I read the news, I used to read sports. Every time subjects of Kenyan drugs, every time until they start to doubt people like ourselves. They are almost doubting even Kipchoge. I was telling others, you know what? It's because it's an African or Kenyan who broke the world record that nobody from outside broke it. He ran with his own legs. I just want to give the same thing, that when I broke the record in Rotterdam, the British, they refused my record, and they say this girl ran with a man. And Ingrid, they forget that Ingrid Christianity, who ran 11 years before me, she ran London with men. And because when they got the record, they thought nobody will come. But somebody from Africa and from Kenya came to break this record.
So they didn't recognize your record in Rotterdam?
They didn't. It was a fight, but I want to thank all the continent. They supported that record. Kenya or Ethiopia or everywhere. They say that record, we know that Tekla broke the record. But I had a big mouth also. I used to say, is it because we are black? We are human. And you did not know that at one point there will be an African who will run and break this world record. Some few years later, they brought London Marathon, Radcliffe, running with a man in a women race. What does that tell us? So I just want to encourage our Kenyan government to support our sport men and women to be coaches and to be managers, because we bring resources to our country. And also, we need also Department of Security to protect those who brings drugs to this nation.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they say Kenyans are bad, Uhuru is the person who is bad because he's our president. They don't accuse Tegla, I'm ambassador of this country. But when they say tomorrow, for example, we saw Tegla tested positive. Tegla from where? Tegla from Kenya. Who is my president? President Kenyatta. So he should also help us. Anybody who is being tested here, because we know that for me, I can say it is malicious. I don't believe anymore. Every time we see one athlete that we know that next year will go to Olympic, tomorrow he or she is subjected to doping. And my last advice to our athlete, don't take any tablet when you are not sick. If you are sick, go to the hospital. Don't let any people to tell you this is vitamin B12, this is vitamin C, or vitamin B12 you get in orange, fresh orange. So let us not be cheated. I'm sorry.
So you're saying our athletes are being taken advantage of, and
100%.
Kenya is basically being targeted, or rather
Yes.
Africa is being targeted in this war against doping.
Yes.
But then also for our athletes, Joyce, and you're within the fraternity of the coaching staff now, how do you guide the athletes on what to take and what not to take, and who to listen to?
Thank you, Carol. We've been having seminars in every athletic meeting, be it cross-country, be it marathon, be it track and field. We always have the anti-doping there. And every year, we educate the athletes on what they should take, and we advise them not to take anything. And if they have to take anything, if it is medicine, they have to get advice, because we have even doctors who are attached to Athletics Kenya who know which drugs fall under the doping category. So every now and then it's something that is being preached day and night to the athletes. But you see, we Africans, we have this, what do you call it? We trust so much the Europeans. You imagine that when a European tells you something, that is the truth. Like what Tekla said, we do not believe in our own black people, our own local coaches, our own local agents. We tend to believe the wazungu. So when they tell you, you take this, it's going to give you strength. And you know, they take advantage of the very young and vulnerable athletes. You know, somebody is new into athletics and someone from out there is telling them, you take this, it is going to help you. And you know, they are new, they don't know what to do, they don't know who to ask.
Please. They want to make a mark.
They want to please this white person. So they simply take those drugs, and then in the long run, they go and spoil our name, like she's saying.
Yeah.
Like she said, it is Kenya. When they say this athlete has doped, it's not that athlete alone. It dents the whole image of the country. Yeah? But you find that behind all these people, despite them accusing us, you find that there are those people who have come from outside who come to entice our athletes to take these drugs. It's not on their own accord.
There's an issue even in the news right now of I think a journalist was in somewhere in the Rift Valley, and he's taken
From
these
Norway.
images. Yeah, from Norway, and he's taken these images of syringes and things like that, and
I
saying
can be sick, and I have a private doctor to come and help me. It doesn't mean that when I have syringes, the syringes symbolize EPO or whatever. That's why I'm saying these people have malicious intention to kill our country and then almost our continent.
And I want to add on to something what she has said about these syringes that were saying were found in, is it 10 or wherever they were saying, how can we prove that these things were there? Who put it there? Do we know if the one who was reporting, if it's the one who had put the syringes there?
And then make the photos.
A syringe being there does not mean that it's the athlete who was training there that put the syringes there. If there's no proof, there's no need of reporting such things, because such things are just go a long way to dent our image. What I know is that our athletic federation is fighting tooth and nail this vice of drugs, because you've seen big names who have been implicated with drugs, they have been banned. And they do not spare. They do not care who you are. As long as you've been implicated, you are put aside and you are banned, even if it is for 5 years. They do not. What can I say? They do not cover them. You see, because it takes. But it can even take the government to cover someone, but our federation does not cover those who have been found to have
I wanted also to add something. When we talk also integrity unit of those athlete commission, who is from Africa in that IAAF? Oh, tell me, Joyce, you are in a federation. Is there anybody?
There's no African
There is
representation.
no
in the
African
integrity
representation. Yes.
unit.
This is a wake-up call for Africa continent to come in one voice. IAAF doesn't belong to whites alone. And IAAF doesn't belong to the athlete alone that come from America, Europe, or whatever. There is no African who can stand there. For me, I will not be happy to see that my urine is going to be investigated by Caro and Joyce. And there is not that person who belong to us.
Who doesn't represent
yes.
you, yes.
How am I going to believe these people?
Oof. Okay, I want to change focus for a bit. That was a bit heavy, but yeah, it needed to be said. There's been this issue of because in the last couple of Olympics, Kenya has sort of underperformed, and there's always been this accusation that our athletes focus more on Diamond League because of the financial benefits than they do on the Olympics, which is more for pride than for pocket. Tekla, I can see you nodding vehemently. Yes. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, you are right. I think also when we compare ourselves with Ethiopia, when it comes to when people have Olympics, they have to reduce completely the competition of the elite athletes also, and they protect. And this is something also I want to say that managers, they are looking only for money for themselves to enrich. But when they go to Olympics, they belong to other countries. They know that if I am a manager coming from, for example, Germany, 10 medals come to Germany. But the rest, the Kenyans are being defeated because they have been running all the time. This is something I want to tell our athletes that let's reduce. It's not only about we are gaining money, but when you have a medal in Olympics, you get more money than running all the Grand Prix. And therefore, maybe something that the government should do like Ethiopia. The Ethiopian government, they are paying their athletes also. They pay them. And therefore, the Kenya government should do the same thing to our elite athletes, that we know these athletes are going to bring medals for the country, so that they cannot run everything. And also, ANOCA, I sit in the commission of ANOCA. ANOCA trying to give scholarship for the African athletes that they have intention that these athletes will bring medals. But every country should also do something for their own people. And also they should also sponsor some of these athletes. Some of the athletes, they have siblings, some of them are still going to school. Should be priority for the government to give them scholarships.
What's your take on that issue? Because I would assume every athlete's dream is to participate in the Olympics. But at the end of the day, I can't fault you if you want money somewhere else.
Thank you, Carol. And I want to concur with what my sister Tekla has just said. You see, our athletes, these elite athletes, they're being controlled by agents. You see, yes, they are Kenyans, but they're being controlled by agents. And these agents, they have clubs. And these clubs, you find that they have athletes from all countries. You see Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Ethiopia. And at the end of the day, this agent is the one who's controlling you, who is telling you run this race, because for him he's also looking for money. He's making you run and run and run. He does not care that you're going to bring a medal for Kenya. And another thing that I want to add, you see, when you have an Olympic medal, like she says, let's say someone like Rudisha, you see Rudisha, when he goes into a Diamond League, he's recognized as the world record holder. That name alone gives you a higher pay package, you see. But the problem is the agents, and our athletes should know that there is what we call burnout. Know that at the end of the day, when your athletics and everything is over, you still go back to your country. So we should always put our country first. And I concur with what Tekla has said. Ethiopia has a very strong thing that they have put, that you are only allowed to run a certain number of races, so that you are able to, at the end of the day, to go and compete for your country in the big events like the Olympics, like the Commonwealth, because you find that our athletes are doing extremely well in the Diamond Leagues. But when it comes now to the races that matter, like the Olympics and the Commonwealth, they're being beaten. And that is what we need to curb right now. Let us advise our athletes. Okay, we normally have seminars. Athletics Kenya normally arranges for seminars that they give talks to these athletes, so that they know the type of races. limit your number of races. Know that at the end of the day, I'm looking for a title in the Olympics. I'm looking for a title in the Commonwealth. Because it's that name that will earn you a place in the Diamond League. They don't just call every Tom, Dick, and Harry. It is the names that matter that are called to the Diamond Leagues. So our athletes should focus on the big events, the World Championships, the Olympics. That will give them a name that will go for a long time, like my sister, Tekla here. She was the first African woman to win a marathon. You see, that name is still there. So that name,
forever.
Yes, that name remains forever. So let us protect our name. Let us protect our country. And then another thing, I think, about incentives, let them be given bigger incentives. Yeah, once they perform well, even in the Olympics, so that they are not lured into those other big races. Let them know that even at home here, I can be given something.
What's your view on athletes changing nationality? Because some of them say, I'm not... In Kenya, the level of competitiveness is so high. In fact, I remember a post that David Rudisha put on Facebook once, and he said there are more than, I think it was 400 people who got qualifying times, and yet you're going to select a few, which I think we're spoiled for choice when it comes to how great our long-distance athletes are. So some are forced to change nationality. What's your view on that, Tekla?
It's tough because everybody's looking something for their families. And you have to understand this, our families, sometimes we come from a very disadvantaged background. And I think there are many eyes in this nation whereby they see that if she or he's doing well, we should protect that athlete so that he or she cannot go and run for another country. And again, how sure when you go to run for other country, do these people gives you enough money that when you come home, you know that I have enough money? It's all also about the pride that you want to stand with that pride. For me, I say if I was going to run for other country when I was being marginalized by my own federation until President Moi interfered when I was close to go to Uganda. To go to Uganda, I was going to run for free, but I was running for Africa, for another African nation. Why? Because I was saying I will not run forever, but I will have something, I will leave legacy for our people, that there is a girl who ran for this nation, or it's possible for the woman to do sports.
And that legacy is something we can never take away from you.
Today, I say if I had ran for money, I could have got an injury, but my name could be not there.
Yeah. We would have forgotten who Tekla
100%.
is. Now we'll never forget.
You never get rid of me.
Okay, let's go into our last break. And when we come back, I also want to talk about the issue of technology assistant running. Of course, the fact that we have world records left, right, and center. You saw what Kipchoge did. I want to know whether women can actually take up a similar challenge. So that discussion is coming up after the break, so don't go anywhere.
Amjambo, kwa majina naitwa Anthony Akumu, mchezaji wa klabu ya Kaizer Chiefs na timu ya taifa ya Kenya. Yangu ni kusisitiza tu ya kwamba kwa sasa dunia mzima na pia nchi yetu ya Kenya tunapitia janga hili la corona, virusi vya corona ambalo limeleta kusimama kwa biashara nyingi na pia harakati za watu pia. Na yangu ni kusisitiza kwamba tuweze kufuata masharti yaliyowekwa na serikali na pia wafanyakazi wa afya. Tuweze kuosha mikono kwa sabuni na kutumia sanitizers. Tuepuke harakati za kutembea ovyo ovyo ili tuweze kupunguza kuenea kwa ugonjwa hili. Asanteni na Mungu awabariki.
Welcome back. We're still here with Tekla Lorupe and Joyce Odhiambo. Yes, Joyce represented Kenya in the 1988 Olympics in 100 meters. She's now a national team coach. And of course, Tekla Lorupe, first African woman to win the New York Marathon, first African woman to break the world record, broke records left, right, and center, won Rotterdam, won London. You won in London?
Yes,
Rome, Wales. The list is this long, Tekla. Boast. You
It's so long, you know.
So there's one thing we were discussing a bit earlier, and this is the fact that when you were running Tekla, times were different, and you were running with your own strength. Nowadays, there's so much what you can call technology assistant running. And I don't only mean what Kipchoge did, because that was a unique project that he engaged in, but the fact that nowadays you can have shoes that make you run faster. You're taught about the wind, and those are things you didn't have in your day. But what do you think about that technology assistant running?
I think when you talk about technology assistant, it's not running anymore. You should not be proud. One thing is that like you are cheating. It's not that I'm saying that Kipchoge is cheating or who.
Kipchoge was unique because it was something planned and calculated.
Yeah, but Cairo, you have to understand how many of our athletes, especially when they come from third world countries, they talk, who have the technology shoes or who have the technology knowledge. I always say I will respect the people who run with natural strength. Whatever they get, we ran with natural strength, and we stayed there for many years. You know that I break record today, tomorrow I go down, to the following day I'm here. But at the end of the day, you know that I did it with my strength. What God gave you, you train, you eat well. Let's go and measure our strength.
But you have to understand, Tekla, that things have also evolved from the shorts you were using in your day to the tights they use nowadays, because the flap might be resistant to the wind. I mean, these things should be accepted, especially if it's available to everybody. Don't you think, Joyce? I mean, if these
okay, Caro, when you talk and then
advances in
yes,
technology,
and then we have to tell everybody you just continue doping.
No. I'm talking about what you've consumed in your body.
Caro, I'm against, because, for example, you have a shoe or you have something that makes you to run fast, and here Joyce doesn't have that because she has a disadvantage. She cannot afford, and you, Caro, you can afford to have high-tech. Compare two people, it's already you are cheating, and the other person doesn't.
But cheat. Does IAAF not communicate what is acceptable? You're a national team coach now, Joyce. Does IAAF not? I mean, I'm sure they have. They tell you if you're wearing a certain type of shoe, it needs to meet a certain type of criteria. I mean, aren't there acceptable levels?
There are acceptable levels, even spikes, because you have to run with a certain inches. For sprints, they don't have to be how many inches long, and the long distance and the steeplechase, they have even the long distance, these shoes that they're using for marathon. There are specifications that they have to meet. It's not just any shoe. And like what she's saying, what I believe is like, those Europeans, they come to train here in Kenya in E10 because they want to get what we Kenyans, there is that natural whatever. Okay, the shoe can just come in, but what I believe is the natural strength that is in you. Because even if you take me today and you give me that shoe, I'll not be able to break any record. I'll not be able to.
You can move a little bit.
Yes, I'll not be able to do anything. I believe in the natural talent. We as Kenyans or as Africans, for that matter, like the Ethiopians and the Ugandans, from the area we are coming from, like she's saying, from West Pokot or from Rift Valley, there's that natural thing that is in them. You see, the area, the altitude that is there is what is making these people run the way they are running. It's not about the shoe or about anything. You see, and even for let's say Usain Bolt and the likes of the Jamaicans, it is something that is naturally inside them. We as Kenyans, yes, we are trying to rival them, but we cannot reach there. Even if I go to train in Jamaica, it will not be easy for me to break that record. But you see, the Wazungus are also coming to E10 because they want to try and get what is in E10 there, that high altitude to develop their lungs to be able to run the way the Kenyans are running. So I believe in the natural perspective of running. The other thing comes second, but first, let it be whatever is natural.
But in the case of Kipchoge, Tekla, he was running against himself, basically. He was trying to prove a point.
Yes.
So I don't think we can... it's not that he was taking advantage of anybody else.
No, Kipchoge was training very hard, and when you see amount of people he was using, these are the amount of people that we want people to run naturally, because he was running when the other people are tired, he gets the other people. It's like he was using a best method. Yeah, it doesn't mean that these people they were carrying Kipchoge, but Kipchoge was pushing himself. You know, so this is the kind of competition that we want people to understand, that when Kipchoge ran, he did not run with the spring shoes, as they say. Okay, the shoes had, but the fact remains that Kipchoge is a very hard-working athlete, and he's very disciplined person, and he was already a world record holder. Yeah, it's not about
I want
technology.
to comment something on Kipchoge, like to support what my sister is saying. What I also believe in Kipchoge is Kipchoge started off as a maybe 1500 meter runner, and you see he has progressed. Yeah. He has progressed from 15 to 3,000 to 5,000 to 10,000. And now when he felt he was of age, he's mature enough, he went into the marathon. You see, the ones that are just made like popcorn overnight, no.
Yeah, you are right.
That's a process.
Yes, you want you to be, let it be a process. Yeah. Like the way Kipchoge has gone through that process. He has moved. So there is no doubt, even whoever can doubt Kipchoge. No, we cannot doubt Kipchoge, because we've seen him progressing from 815 and to 5,000 and to 10,000 meters. So even if he's running the marathon well, he's running and he's training hard, like she's saying, and he's a very, very disciplined man when it comes to training. Because I even saw on television last time, he even stays in the camp. He stays in a small room, and he's really, really committed.
Focused.
Yes.
Mental.
Yes. It's not that.
Incidentally, women, our current world record holder, I believe, is Bridget Kosgei, 2:14:04. How much further do you think women can get? And would you support a woman doing a challenge like Kipchoge's? And how much further do you think? Do you think we can get to a 2:10?
It is possible. People did not know that people would run under 2:20, and it came up to 2:20, 2:15.
What was your world record? My
world record was 2:20 twice. I broke my record twice. 2:20:47, and then I had another 2:20:43, and I was going to die. I don't understand how people can break just 5 minutes.
And now it's 2:14.
And now 2:14. But when we talk about Bridget ran, she's our girl. She ran our first peace race, the first time. And I know where she's training, how she's training. I think Bridget, yes, yeah. I think she can run maybe under 2:14. But again, you have to understand also, we are women, we have children, we have family, we have a husband here. So to take so this thing sometimes it reduces. Tomorrow you are in a very good form, and then they say, oh, your daughter or your son is he or she sick. That completely reduces your concentration. So we have so many disadvantages, especially women. So
how far do you think women can get? Do you think we can get to 2:10? If in a Kipchoge-like race, do you think we can get to?
Yes, I think we can. By the way, by the look of things, the way I've been seeing these women running, I think they can get there. There is nothing impossible. For Kipchoge, we say there's nothing impossible, and with the women, it is possible. And what I know is that women, when they give birth and they come back, they are even stronger than before. So I think 2:10 is achievable. If they can put up something like what they did in your put. Ladies can also reach there, and I know it will still be a Kenyan woman.
What was your 100-meter record?
11.3. You see, during our time, we had it was hand timing. But nowadays, we have the electronic timing. But I thank God, despite those disadvantages and many other things that were there, I still managed to run that. Like she said, we women, we have so many challenges at home. The children, and even the in-laws and everybody, they're asking this woman. She keeps on. She's always on the track.
What's the current women's world record for 100 meters?
The world record is 10.49. That was set by Griffith Joyner. During those days.
Today.
Yes.
Flojo.
Yes, 10.49. And I don't think it will ever be broken.
So you're only 1 second behind her.
That one you cannot feel like dying. No, that one. But for them, they were never even, there were some question marks.
Really?
About, yes.
Yeah. But that's pretty fast.
Yeah.
11 seconds. I think I do 100 meters in 20 seconds. Okay, before we end the show, I want us very quickly to talk about, Tekla, the fact that you are a UN Peace Ambassador.
Yes.
Many people say, including me, that you stopped running too soon because you still had so many years to give. But you decided to deliberately use your sport influence and position for something good. And a lot of sport, I want us to talk about using sport for good and how you have used sport for good.
Yeah, almost like when I was thinking myself that I think I lived running too soon, but when I see how many things that I've done, it's like it pays back more than my running, because my running I could get money for myself, I could get many things for my family, but there is somebody who needs your support, and it's like a gift. And it came after when I started peace race in 2003, thinking that I want to unite our people using through sports. And now it's arts and arts. And then 2005, I had world record. 2006, I had world record for 35 kilometers.
Yeah.
And then with all the work that I was doing, it was too much. I couldn't make it. But I don't regret, because what I've given back to the community, I could see somebody smiling. And if I can count the people that they went through Tekla Lorupe Peace Foundation, I can count including this lady who ran world record, because if I did not have the peace race in Kavenkuria, maybe our talent was not to be there.
So Bridget Kosgei, current world record holder for marathon, came through your program.
Yes, including the reformed warriors. We have people like Arile who became the first, let's say, the first Kenyan to take this 99 to the UN fighting against firearms, small arms. So he was invited by Kofi Annan to go to UN. And for myself, to be given also as Africa ambassador to represent the continent as a peace ambassador, athlete peace ambassador, that's again is a great work. And what I'm doing again to our nation today is something that I'm really happy. And using through sports, I did not go to university to be given all these big names. It was a university of sports. And to be the first African to be a chef de mission, and it's special to be the first to be a Kenyan to help the refugees to go to Olympic. It never happened in history. Nobody knows this. And I just want to thank also our government, starting with our president, who gave me opportunity to bring the refugees from Kakuma out of the Kakuma. It's because of the acceptance of President Uhuru to tell his government, let that girl help these refugees athlete. And it was
you took a refugee team to the
Olympics. Refugee with a very hard burden on my back, because they used to say, why do this one help the criminals? But I took that as a positive, because they used to say, Tekla comes from a very bad community. I was not a bad person. Neither these refugees are not bad people, but they needed somebody who can show them that they are good kids and they are people. And today, I'm really happy to see that what I'm doing is also I'm doing through sports. It's
a different race altogether.
It's just a race altogether, and you become a matter of many. And I just want to thank also all the journalists, all the media houses. Even when I was being marginalized by our federations, I never complained to anybody that so-and-so is a bad person. But the media was the one who was talking on my behalf. And I just want to say that it's something special that our people from the media houses, they see what other people doesn't see. And let's continue to build one another.
Thank you, Tekla. Oh, gosh. Joyce, very quickly, using sport for good.
Okay, sports is a very good thing, because an idle mind is a devil's workshop. And through sports, you can change somebody, like she has said, the marginalized communities, like the ones in West Pokot. You see, they left those intentions of fighting others, and doing things that are now helping others. Taking up the refugees, she has brought out a very good team nowadays. Whenever we have any meeting, we have the refugees running alongside, and people have come to recognize them, and they feel appreciated. You see, someone may be getting into a vice due to being idle, not finding something to do. So when you bring these people into sports, you actually change them. Because I was reading these two gentlemen from South Africa, Manyonga, I think you know him. He's from South Africa. He was a robber, but he was transformed and is now a world champion. So you see, sometimes it only takes somebody to care about that person. Maybe he's not a bad person as such, but the situation is what makes him become what he is. So such people now, they're holding records, their own properties. You see, so others people maybe were also in that category. They want maybe to join sports so that they can be somewhere, you see. So sports should be taken very seriously, and what I think we should nurture sports right from the early level. I have a very soft spot for the children, and I want, if it's possible, that the government and the Ministry of Education, together with Athletics Kenya, let us have a program that churns out youth, that every year as the youth progress to the junior, we have others being churned out. As they go to the senior levels, we have them. It is like a treadmill that moves and moves, so that there's not going to be a void at any one time, you see. So that if Unisum is not there, we know we have others in the 800 meters. If Tekla is not there, we know we have Bridget Kosgei. We know we have whoever it is to fill in that void. Let us take sports seriously. Let us take sports as a career. You see, many people during our time, they were taking...
needs to hear that. Our government needs to hear that.
Yeah, you know, long time ago, they used to say that sports people are not people who are not learned. You see, these are people who are foolish. But we have a lot of our athletes right now who are even at the universities. Yes, they're doing athletics together with their academic work, and they're doing well. So people should take athletics seriously and sports as a matter of fact. Let us not take athletics for granted, because from where I am now, it is because of athletics. If I never got myself into athletics, I would never even have gone beyond Tanzania. But athletics has taken me and made me who I am because of that interest. So let us allow our children. I know many schools, parents, they are just on academic. You find that there are schools that don't even have playing grounds. We should encourage our children, whatever sport a child has interest in, let us boost, let us support our children. I see a lot of times these international schools are doing a very good job. When they have sports festivals, you see parents bringing in their children and cheering. We should also adopt the same. Let us bring our children right from childhood. Let us teach them these technicalities right from childhood, and they'll grow with them. When we come up there, we shall be somewhere.
I just like the fact that when it's all about sport, suddenly Kenyans were a very divisive society. We become one. Yes. When it's about sports, we all cheer Tekla. No one asks where does she come from. We all cheer Joyce. No one asks where does she come from. I wish that's something we can take into the rest of our lives. You know, it doesn't matter where you come from.
Should learn from sports.
Politicians should learn from sports.
We are the good teachers.
Should learn from sports.
It is true.
That is a quote from Tekla Lorupe. I need to write there 2020, May the 2nd, 2020. Politicians should learn from sports. Yeah. Okay, that's been our show today. I want to give you a chance to have any parting shot, because I know you're also trying to you're raising money, or you're raising funds for your people.
I'm raising everything from dry food to iron sheets or blankets.
For your people back home.
For our people in Marquette and also Pokot.
If someone wants to help, where can they find you?
We have our office here in Shalom,
Shalom House. You'll give me
I will give you the details.
I'll put them on my social media. So that people can also support those who are going through challenges. COVID-19 as itself is a challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I want to say that Chandaria gave us already 300 iron sheet, Chandaria Foundation.
Okay, thank you.
And Merali gave us also finance to support all this.
Well, thank you. Thank you to everyone who has stepped up. And Joyce, any parting shot before we wrap up?
Okay, for me, my parting shot is, let us run clean. Let's say no to doping.
Run clean, say no to doping. Tekla, run clean. Run with your own strength.
Run with your own strength.
Run with your own strength. Guys, thank you so much. I've actually enjoyed today's show. It's the first time we've had an all-female panel. I think I'm going to do more of this. But I just want to encourage women athletes who are watching that there are people you can look up to. Tekla for me is my hero, and when she came in, she said Joyce was her hero. You know, so Joyce is also now my hero, and we need such role models so that we can continue to get better and better. But thank you so much, guys, for watching Radull Live. We're here every Saturday from 2 to 3 live on Facebook and on YouTube. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week. We can't talk the whole day. We can't talk the whole day. Tekla told me stories. She told me stories one day until we even forgot we were at a seminar.
What was that?
For women in sport, when we were at Hilton that day. And we talked and talked.